This is WPTV.
Welcome back to the desk. The October Classic is finally here with the Red Sox and Dodgers duking it out in the World Series. We have Josh, Joe, Jimmy, and Steven here to break everything down. Now, fellas, right now the Red Sox sitting in a comfortable 2-0 series lead. Let's take a look at the stats from the first two games. Steven, let's start with you. What's your biggest takeaway from the series so far?
Well, looking at the stats overall, the Red Sox have a higher batting average, almost 300, when the Dodgers are very far under 200. Home runs are deadlocked, 1-1. Both teams, 20 strikeouts batting, very inconsistent there. But the Red Sox having the much better lineup, they double their runs. And that's my biggest takeaway. The Red Sox left 6 runners on in scoring position the first 2 games of the series. The Dodgers only 3. Now you would think the Dodgers, they left less runners on, they'd score more, but that's the opposite. That's how deadly this Red Sox lineup is. Also, the core 3 for the Red Sox is unstoppable. I'm sure you guys can all agree with this. Mookie Betts, Andrew Benintendi, JD Martinez, they have 11 combined hits in the first 2 games. That is nuts. That is nuts. We don't see another trio like this in the entire MLB. And that's why I think the Red Sox have so much dominant in the first 2 games of the season, in the World Series, and they should have no trouble in Game 3 or 4.
Jimmy, what do you see?
Well, obviously, the Red Sox bullpen lately has been very good. Craig Kimbrell was very shaky in the Division Series and the Championship Series. He's looked very solid so far. He's been getting the job done. And also, too, the Red Sox offense, their ability to hit with 2 outs. 2 outs is like kind of a momentum killer for some teams, but the Red Sox, let's look at that Game 2. In that 3-run inning that gave them the lead for good, every single base runner came with 2 outs. First 2 batters were retired, and then you can't wake that sleeping giant with the Red Sox. They'll just get it going. They'll get a bunch of hits. They'll get on base. They just find ways, and that's what ended up killing it for the Dodgers. And the Red Sox are a very solid team right now, unfortunately.
That's that core 3, too. They spark that offense.
So good.
Joe, do you agree?
I agree with what Steven was saying about the big 3. The thing that the Red Sox do, and the way that they mostly beat other teams, is by scoring early and scoring often. When you look at this playoff so far, the Red Sox are 9-0 when they have scored first. I mean, if the starting pitching isn't going to shut them down in the first inning when you have Betts, Benintendi, Martinez up, you're not going to shut them down at all. I mean, the key is stopping them from getting out to that early lead.
Josh?
Right, we're talking about the core 3, the hitting, and it's all because of the pitching for the Dodgers has not been what we've expected. The starting pitching, Kershaw, give up 5 runs in 4 innings. I mean, this is not the Kershaw that we saw in the regular season. Then you have Jinru, who gave up 4 runs in 4 innings. I mean, when you get off to an early lead, especially the Red Sox, they're not going to give it up because the Red Sox bullpen has been stellar all playoffs. It's been great, and then that's the problem with these Dodgers right now, just the starting pitching.
Josh, we'll keep it with you now.
Awesome.
Take a look at some highlights from Game 2.
Right.
Series shifts to LA, so it might be a little bit of a momentum swing. What have you seen from the series? What's your takeaways going into Game 3?
Well, we go look at the highlights for this Game 2. The Dodgers hitting started off, pretty well. I mean, we could see the Red Sox fans getting all pumped. They know what they're expecting from this team. Right now, we see a nice hit from the Red Sox. They get to an early lead here in the bottom of the second, and then that's another problem. Is that the Red Sox scored 3 in all these plays. They start off early, they get on base, they score runs, and then it leaves the Dodgers. Okay, now the Dodgers, we have to come back, but with that bullpen, it's not really going to happen. We see here with the pop out, we actually are able to bring in a run, but remember, the bases are loaded. When the bases are loaded and you have a strong hitting team like the Dodgers, you expect more runs to come in. Yasiel Puig comes in, brings in another run, and now gives the Dodgers a lead. This is what the Dodgers were looking for, but of course it was not enough for the Dodgers.
Joe, what's the biggest takeaway going into Game 3? What do the Dodgers need to do?
When you look at Game 3, the Dodgers need to capitalize on Rick Porcello's playoff struggles. His career in the playoffs, he has a 5.09 ERA. And most importantly, his numbers against Machado, who he's played against several times. Machado hits .342 against him in his career. So what we have to see is, the Dodgers capitalize on, someone, because Price obviously has had trouble in the playoffs, but Porcello also has had his struggles. The Dodgers need to capitalize on things like this, and also you look at the fact that they lose the DH, so JD Martinez has to play the outfield now. And that is something that obviously the Red Sox have been trying to avoid and cover up for as long as he's been there. And his career, -37 career defensive run saves. I mean, that can't cut it in the playoffs. Hit the ball his way and just let life happen.
Jimmy?
Yeah, well, it's like what Joe said. JD having to play the outfield is definitely going to be different for the Red Sox, having to play in that National League ballpark. But for the Dodgers, I think this is definitely the best opportunity for them to get back in the series. They're going to go back to LA tonight. They're going to ride all the momentum, or I'm sorry, they're not going to ride the momentum, but they'll have that crowd on their side. They'll be looking for some revenge, and they're going to do what they can to get back in the series.
Steven, we'll go to you for a little something different. What player going forward needs to help any team to win a championship?
I'm sticking with the Dodgers. They bought into the hype. I bought into the hype. Manny Machado, MVP candidate early on in the season. You look at his stats in the postseason. He's batting .255. He's got three donks, 12 RBIs, and 13 strikeouts. You don't trade your future for a guy if you're not going to rely on him. This is Machado's only opportunity to get a ring. He's been in the wasteland known as Baltimore for his entire career. He finally got out. He knows, as well as the Dodgers organization, he's not going to be here next year. We know this. He's going to be asking too much money. He's really been the only guy hitting for them. He was responsible for 3 of the runs in Game 1 when they only scored 4 total. Had a little bit of a shaky Game 2, but if the Dodgers really want to get back into the series, he has to step up big.
How about you, Jimmy?
I got to go with that power-hitting slugger, JD Martinez. You know, this man has been a beast all season. If you look at his stats, he's batting .333 in the playoffs right now with 2 home runs, 13 RBIs, only 5 strikeouts. Pretty much the same player that he was in the regular season. He's transitioned over to the postseason, something that he doesn't have a lot of experience with in the past. And, you know, his first at-bat of the postseason, hit a 3-run home run off J. Happ. He's been one of their scariest players. You know, he came in with the bases loaded and 2 outs in that Game 2. You almost knew he was going to do something there. I'm surprised he didn't hit a grand slam, honestly.
Joe?
I have to go with Clayton Kershaw, their MVP, Clayton Kershaw. Everything I've been hearing, you know, so many people say it all the time, pitching wins championships. And last year with the Houston Astros, we saw that. Justin Verlander last year, there were some questions about whether he can perform in the big moments. He shut down all those naysayers. All I kept hearing was how David Price could not pitch in the playoffs. Shut them down right away. This is Clayton Kershaw's opportunity to establish his legacy, and right now, in October, that's where legacies are born.
Josh, how about you?
Go with the Red Sox closer, Craig Kimbrel. I mean, like, this is the guy that you expect to come up in big situations, and the Dodgers do get off hot, and they take a decent-sized lead, or if the Red Sox are only up by a run, you need Kimbrel to come up big, and he's come up big in the past 2 games, and I don't see him slowing down.
All right, fellas, real quick, one-word answers. Who's winning the World Series? Josh, let's start with you.
Red Sox are winning the World Series, making Yankee fans miserable.
Joe?
Got my Dodger blue on today. Got to go with Dodgers in 7.
Jimmy?
Red Sox.
I'm riding the Dodgers to the promised land.
I'm going to go with the Red Sox just to break the tie. It's going to be a fun series, definitely, going forward. That's all for this episode of WP Sports Desk. Thank you to our analysts, crew, and studio manager, Al Clark. From Studio B in Hobart Hall, I'm Dante Vocaturo, and we'll see you next time.